got a feeling that was bad English. Okay, let's see. Oh, thanks, Clive. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was very proud of the Desert Man, and you may be surprised to know that I drew that. That was 99%, if not 100, well, it's probably 99.5% all woodless pencils. I did the Desert Man. My personal favorite, if you guys want to know, is the girl on the wall. That's the one that seems to blow the minds of most people that see it in person. Um, they just can't believe that, I drew that. Of course, that's because they know me. No, you didn't do that, Rix. Come on, you didn't do that. All right. Yeah, I did. See what you can do with just a couple of beers in you. Just joking. Okay. See, what are the pros and cons of woodless pencils? Pros and cons of woodless pencils. Okay, well, the pros are you got a lot of graphite. Uh, you get some really rich graphite tones, I feel, from it. Um, you just get more material for your money, you might say. Each pencil is solid graphite as opposed to just a thin core. And also, of course, if you want to cover large areas, and you can draw sideways, and this whole area here can be used to add graphite. You can't do that with a wooded pencil. The downside of woodless is really easy. One, they're fragile. You drop them, they break. You sharpen too hard, they might snap. You've seen my last video when I did the review of the General's woodless. One of my, I think it was my Pro Art, I can't remember which one it was, but I was sharpening it and it just snapped in half. So they're fragile. They're like glass. They feel like glass tubes, and you just drop them and they shatter. And the other thing too is they can get messy. You can get stuff all over your hands if you're playing with. Now, it's coated to keep your hands from getting dirty, but when you're sharpening, all that fine graphite powder goes everywhere. So those are the cons that I find. But do I love them or do I hate them? I love them. I love woodless pencils. I don't use them often. I used them for the Desert Man, and the color, the tones were so rich. I was so impressed. And those were the woodless. That all it says is woodless, no brand. Got it at Hobby Lobby. Didn't cost me much. And that's when I was like, wow, these are awesome. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do the whole Desert Man with this. And it just came out wonderful. Adam, you were not notified. Adam, I'm sorry that you were not notified. Did you have your notification bell turned on with your subscription? Because that's the only way you're going to get notified. I just released a video 2 days ago explaining that for everybody, that just being subscribed is not enough. You need to have the notification bell turned on, and make sure you don't have it set to occasionally. Have it set to always. Always notify you. Thank you, artist. I appreciate that. I'm just going to call you artist instead of your whole name there. Artist A. Doss. You know. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'm using a regular webcam. I bought another webcam so that I can have one over the drawing table and one over by the computer, and leave the camera over the review desk, you might call it, review table. Besides, that doesn't connect to the live streaming. I got to figure out how to connect cameras up to live streaming. That would be great. But right now, this is a webcam, and I am kind of concerned about the quality of the video. I hope that the quality looks real good, guys. How does it look on your end over there? Adam, you want me to pronounce your name? I'm going to say that it's I'm going to guess it's Adam Core. Does that sound about right? Adam Core? Or did you just want a shout out? There's your shout out. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Clive. Hello, is that Poma? Poma from Belarus? Welcome. Glad you can drop in. Cretacolor, good pencils. All right, now I've got my base in here with this 4K pencil. I mean, what am I saying? 4K? 4H pencil. Okay, now I'm going to just use my earbud here, earbud, and I'm going to start blending. And this is where I'm going to start losing some of my lines are going to start fading, which is what I want to happen. And if not, I'll lighten it up with my eraser. Yes, Adam, I did. I used the grid method. I tend to use the grid method more than any other method because for me, I don't have fun drawing the initial sketch. I find that to be tedious work and boring. I like shading and drawing and making things come to life. I don't like doing the little lines, the initial sketch because, well, for one, that's how I used to draw anyway, is just little stick figure lines and stuff, and it never looked like anything, so never got much of a kick out of that. So using the grid method, I can get this done a lot quicker and get right into shading and drawing. I don't have to waste too much time. How to clean? I don't know what a clean is. Artists, how to clean? I don't know what that means. I don't clean. I don't clean on Saturdays especially. I don't know what a clean is. You're gonna have to help me with that. Okay. Now you can see it's just very one-dimensional right here. Thank you, Paulivi. Appreciate that. Well, Buster, sometimes it's just probably doing it a few times to get used to it. Good morning, Julio. Welcome to the live drawing event of the century. My desk is a mess. Very hard to find things on here. Yeah, if you want to draw freehand, that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. I always say it's to each their own what they want to do. It's your art, and you can do it any way you want. You know, sometimes I see these little debates, people make online. They go, oh, if you're using the grid method, then, you're not really an artist and whatever. Well, first off, I don't care if anyone doesn't, if anyone doesn't think I'm an artist. I don't do this except for myself, my own pleasure. But at the same token, too, I noticed that painters and artists of all walks, the majority of them use some kind of method, such as the grid method. Some use projections. Some use like copy transfer paper, like trace paper. They call it trace paper. I hate that method personally. Oh, I'm using a 2H pencil, by the way. I went up to the next level. You'll notice, again, darker here than here. So now I'm adding in the third dimension here. I'm getting this darker area in. So put that back there again. It comes out to here. Now see, all this is freehanding for me. It's figuring out how far everything is. The shade comes down to here, comes up to here, and I'll often just come in here and do it this way. Now, I released a video last night on drawing hair, another drawing hair video, and there you see where I go in there and I start drawing. Okay, I'm going to go dark here, I'm going to go light here, I'm going to go dark, and I'll do that pretty much freehand. But the rest of it, I'd rather have the sketch already down. I have no idea who Andrew Lomas is, Adam. No idea. So you got me there. Okay, we're down here. Comes across to here. To here. So this comes here to here to here. Down to here to here. Then up here. All right. There are so many pencil options how to decide which one to use. Pallavi, you figure it out by actually just doing it. Nothing works better than just draw every day if you can. Usually what happens is when it comes to the face, oftentimes what I like to do is I'll start light and then I'll start layering pencil upon pencil, darker shades until I get to where I want it. This one here, I kind of went at it at a different approach. I went dark immediately, but then I ended up having to back off. As soon as I got the hair in, I backed off using a chamois. So it goes back to being, for me, start from light and working up layer by layer seems to be the best approach. And I'm always experimenting. I haven't been doing this very long, as you know. I'm only on my 3rd year, so this is all new to me. And you're kind of joining me on my journey, my drawing journey here. So right now, I have lots of pencils, but the easiest way for me to decide on which pencil to use is start with the lightest. Then you'll know whether you have to go darker, just go darker. I find that to be the easiest way to do it. I am Iron Man. Yeah, I watch all them superhero movies. I'm a real big fan of all of them. As long as they're not R-rated. I don't watch R-rated stuff. If I can't take a kid with me, a young person, then I won't go. Let's see here. If it ain't good enough for my kid. I won't see Deadpool because it's rated R, and I don't like a bunch of language. I'm not into too much violence, and I'm not into any violence actually, but comic book violence to me is a little bit like comedy. But Deadpool is a little bit too much, and the language is terrible. So sorry guys, but that's I'm not imposing that on anyone other than myself. I'm not interested in anything that's R-rated, and Deadpool unfortunately is off of my watch list because of that. You can make a lot of good movies without having to inject a bunch of language. I don't understand movie makers these days. They just want us to change our language and make it crude, and forget it. Not my cup of tea. I'm going to keep it clean. And the other ones are clean. They don't go about cussing, except they do try to throw in one F word here and there, which I hate. Which superhero do I like the most? You're looking at him right here. That's my favorite, Iron Man. Iron Man is my favorite. When I was a kid, I collected all the Iron Man comic books. I had so many. As a matter of fact, I still have a #1 issue in plastic somewhere in my office here that's never been thumbed through. It's always stayed in plastic. It's a collector's. It was a first print, and I really like that. Pallavi, as far as the background, that is really going to have to be your choice. There's no right and wrong whether you start with the background. For me personally, I always start with the eye to my left because I'm right-handed. So I always start with the eye in every single portrait that I do. I start with the eye, and then I work out to the left, and then I come to the right. So you can see everything evolving this way, and then the last thing comes right here where my hand can stay way off the page there. Okay, hope that makes sense. And sometimes I don't even put a background in. I decided to do one in this time because I wanted the hair to kind of blend into it like the original portrait here. Making light and dark using charcoal powder. Well, pretty much charcoal powder, you're going to end up with light. Because as you blend it, it's going to come off. I can't really get too, I can get dark. I've done a charcoal powder video before. You can get dark, but you're kind of rubbing in and rubbing in and rubbing in. And to me, that's just a waste of time. Just use pencils to get darker. I use charcoal powder and graphite powder for the base. Like right now I'm using pencil, okay, but I don't always use pencil for the base. I'll use graphite powder and I'll do the face, and then I'll use pencil on top of it. Or I'll use charcoal powder for dark hair for the base, and then I'll use charcoal pencils and graphite pencils and erasers to take it off. That is what I use the powders for. All right, well that's the 2H, and you can start seeing a change in tone here. So I'm going to start blending this in. How do we make both eyes the same? You don't. You don't make both eyes the same because they're not the same. You make your eye match what's here. This eye is this eye. This eye is this eye. This eye is not this eye, and this eye is not this eye. So don't try to make this eye look like that eye or vice versa. Make that eye look like that eye and make that eye look like that eye. Okay, Buster? I do not do color, Adam. I do not do color. Unless I'm reviewing color stuff, then I'll do some color. I used to be an oil painter when I was 13 years old, but then you can imagine what a 13-year-old's oil painting would look like. Well, at 13, I thought it was pretty good, and of course, Mom and Dad will always tell you, "Oh, you did such a nice job," and of course, you grow up and find out, were they just blowing smoke up my skirt or what? Okay, you see the change in tone from here to here? And see how I'm just slowly starting to bring that in. Now, if you'll look on the original here, notice the difference in tone between, let's say, right here. This is all the same pretty much here, except for this area right there. in this area right here. But this here looks pretty much like this. And the transition from here to here, I need to bring this a little closer to this. So if you'll notice, I went from dark to less dark to less dark, which is here, and it's a nice change, especially from here to here. You can barely tell that there's a transition. You can see the line is, or there's no line, but the demarcation